The Vraxian flagship Dominance cut through space like a predator, its angular hull bristling with weapon arrays. Admiral Tak stood on the command deck, hands clasped behind his back, as he studied the holographic display of human territory. 75 years we've watched them, he said to his second-in-command. 75 years of the same outdated patrol ships, the same predictable defense patterns. Commander Sung bowed slightly. They appear content with their single system, Admiral. The humans had joined the Galactic Concordat after their first tentative steps into faster-than-light travel. Unlike other species that expanded aggressively, humans had maintained only a token presence beyond their solar system. Their military consisted of aging vessels that had been considered outdated even when Earth first joined the interstellar community. "Show me their fleet positioning again," Tak ordered. The hologram shifted, displaying a dozen small ships in Earth orbit. The vessels were small, almost laughably so. Most species retired such models to atmospheric patrol or scrapyards. "Their technology is generations behind ours," Tak said, zooming in on one of the human ships. "Their hulls would buckle under our weakest weapons. They rely on chemical propellants for some systems, and their shield technology is primitive." Tak had risen through Vraxian military ranks during their recent expansion. The Vraxian Empire had doubled its territory in just 10 years, absorbing weaker systems through strategic conquest. The Concordat, bound by ancient treaties and bureaucracy, had done little more than issue strongly worded objections. "Send the order," Tak said finally. "We begin the Centauri campaign tomorrow." Centauri Prime was Earth's closest ally and trading partner. Taking it would test human resolve while providing the Vraxians with a strategically valuable position. If humans fought, they would be crushed. If they retreated, it would signal weakness to other systems. "It will be done, Admiral," Commander Sung said, transmitting the orders. 3 days later, the Vraxian battle group entered Centauri space, 20 warships against Centauri's 5 defenders. The outcome was never in doubt. From the bridge of his flagship, Tak watched the Centauri vessels attempt to form a defensive line. Their weapons flared against Vraxian shields, accomplishing nothing. "They fight well for a doomed people," Tak noted as another Centauri ship erupted in flame. "Have they called for help?" "Yes, Admiral," his communications officer reported. "Distress signals have been sent to all neighboring systems, including Earth." Tak smiled. "Let them come. I would welcome the opportunity to demonstrate our superiority directly." The battle lasted barely an hour. Centauri Prime's orbital defenses fell one by one, and their ground-based weapons posed no threat to the Vraxian ships. "They've surrendered, Admiral," Commander Sung reported. "Planetary leadership requests terms." "Standard occupation protocols," Tak replied. "And what of Earth's response?" "Nothing yet, Admiral. Their patrol ships remain in Earth orbit." Tak laughed. "As expected. Prepare the ground forces for deployment." The distress signal from Centauri Prime reached Earth Defense Command within minutes of the Vraxian attack. The message played throughout the underground command center, the desperation in the Centauri commander's voice echoing off stone walls. "This is Centauri Defense Force requesting immediate assistance. Vraxian battle group has entered our system. We cannot hold them. Earth, please respond. We need your help." General Kim watched the message replay, her expression unreadable. Around her, military officers waited silently for orders. The command center was buried 2 kilometers beneath North American bedrock, one of dozens such facilities hidden around the planet. "We knew this day would come," she said finally. 3 generations of preparation, and now we face the test." Her second-in-command, Colonel Park, stepped forward. "The Centauri forces will fall within the hour. If we're going to respond, we must do so now." General Kim nodded slowly. "Send word to all command centers. Titan Protocol is now active." She turned to the communications officer. "Send no response to Centauri or the Concordat. Complete communications blackout for the next 72 hours. The officer looked startled. "But General, Our allies will understand once they see what comes next. Kim finished. Begin activation sequence for all Dreadnought-class vessels. Priority to the Pacific and Atlantic fleets. Throughout the command center, officers snapped to attention. For most, this moment had existed only in training simulations. The Titan Protocol, Earth's ultimate contingency plan, was now reality. General Kim moved to a secure terminal and pressed her palm against the scanner. The screen lit up with a simple message: authorization required. General Sun Mi Kim, Earth Defense Command. Authorization Theta 97 Alpha. The screen flashed green, and deep beneath the oceans of Earth, massive doors began to slide open for the first time. It's time, General Kim said quietly, to show the galaxy who we really are. The Galactic Concordat's emergency chamber buzzed with angry voices. Representatives from 12 species argued as reports of Centauri Prime's fall spread through the assembly. The Centauri ambassador stood alone, his usual proud bearing replaced by desperation. Earth has abandoned us, he said, voice breaking. 3 days since our call for help, and not even a response. The Vraxian representative, a tall figure with scale-like skin, smiled thinly. Perhaps your human allies have shown wisdom for once. They recognize superior strength when they see it. In the back of the chamber, smaller delegations whispered among themselves. If Earth wouldn't defend its closest ally, who would the humans protect? The Vraxian Empire's path of conquest seemed unstoppable now. We should send another message to Earth, suggested the Proximan delegate. Perhaps their communication systems failed. The Centauri ambassador laughed bitterly. Their silence speaks clearly enough. We are alone. 5 kilometers beneath the Pacific Ocean floor, Commander June walked through a vast underground chamber that few humans even knew existed. Around her, thousands of engineers and crew members worked with quiet efficiency, preparing for what would come next. The chamber was actually one small section of an enormous complex, a shipyard built in absolute secrecy decades ago. Similar facilities existed beneath all of Earth's major oceans, hidden from prying eyes, both terrestrial and extraterrestrial. Commander June stopped at a viewing platform overlooking the main construction bay. Below her, bathed in brilliant white light, floated the EDS Thunderchild. The massive vessel was unlike anything publicly known to exist in the galaxy. 3 kilometers long, with a hull of materials developed in secret Earth laboratories. "Beautiful, isn't she?" said a voice beside her. June turned to see Captain Hyun, the man chosen to command Earth's flagship. "She is," June agreed. 70 years of planning and building, all for this moment. When humans had first encountered alien life and joined the Galactic Concordat, they had made a strategic decision. Rather than revealing their true technological capabilities and military potential, Earth presented itself as a minor power with limited space presence. Meanwhile, humanity poured resources into secret military development, building vessels and weapons far beyond what the rest of the galaxy believed possible. "The deployment order just came through," Captain Hyun said. "All vessels are to launch within 6 hours." Commander June nodded. "The surface fleet is already standing down. The deception has served its purpose." Throughout human history, successful military strategies often involved appearing weaker than you truly were. For 3 generations, Earth had played the role of an insignificant backwater world while preparing for the day when that facade would need to be dropped. In the command center of the Pacific facility, Commander June faced rows of officers at their stations. Screens around the room showed similar scenes from the Atlantic, Indian, and Arctic bases. "Titan Protocol is now active," she announced formally. "Prepare all vessels for immediate deployment." Throughout the room, officers began the launch sequence that had been rehearsed countless times but never executed. Deep beneath the ocean floors, massive doors began sliding open, revealing the true extent of Earth's military might. "First wave vessels report ready for surface breach," reported a young lieutenant. Commander June nodded. "Begin ascent." Captain Hyun stood on the bridge of the Thunderchild, as the enormous ship rose through a shaft larger than most skyscrapers. Water cascaded around specialized shields designed to handle the pressure and transition. "All systems nominal," reported his first officer. "Weapon systems on standby. Jump drives at full capacity." Around the Thunderchild, 20 other dreadnoughts were surfacing simultaneously across Earth's oceans. Each was a masterpiece of engineering, designed to outclass any known vessel in the galaxy. While the Concordat ships relied on standardized technology shared between species, humans had developed their systems in isolation, following different paths of innovation. "Surface breach in 30 seconds, announced the navigation officer. Captain Hyun felt a surge of pride mixed with tension. The moment Earth's fleet revealed itself, the galaxy would change forever. Decades of careful planning and secrecy were about to end. "I wonder what Admiral Tak will think when he sees us coming," said the weapons officer with a tight smile. "He'll learn what many Earth generals learned throughout our history," Captain Hyun replied. "Never mistake patience for weakness." The Thunderchild broke the ocean's surface in a massive surge of water, its enormous hull gleaming in the sunlight for the first time. Across the planet, similar scenes played out as Earth's hidden fleet emerged. Satellite images captured dozens of enormous warships rising from the seas, each dwarfing the patrol vessels that had previously been Earth's only known defense. From the bridge, Captain Hyun watched as other dreadnoughts took position around his flagship. The deception was over. Earth's sleeping giant had awakened. "All vessels report ready, Captain," said his communications officer. "Jump coordinates to Centauri Prime are locked in." "Then let's not keep our friends waiting any longer," Captain Hyun said. "Prepare to jump." Admiral Tak walked slowly along the observation deck of his command ship, enjoying the view of conquered Centauri Prime below. The planet's urban centers showed scattered damage from orbital strikes, but the Vraxian invasion had been relatively clean. No sense damaging valuable resources. "A beautiful world," he remarked to Commander Sung, who followed 2 paces behind. "Rich in minerals and with an ideal climate for our people." "Yes, Admiral. The ground forces report minimal resistance now. The planetary government has surrendered all major cities." Tak nodded with satisfaction. The Centauri were known for their art and culture rather than their military might. But even so, the speed of their collapse had been impressive. 3 days from initial attack to full planetary control, a new record for Vraxian expansion. And still no word from Earth. Tak asked. "None, Admiral. Their ships maintain normal patrol patterns in their home system. They have not even issued a formal protest." Tak permitted himself a small smile. As expected, they know their place. He turned to look at the tactical display showing the Vraxian fleet in orbit. 20 warships arranged in strategic formation, ready to repel any attempt to retake the planet. "Prepare a message to High Command. Tell them Centauri Prime is secure and ready for colonization." Commander Sung was about to respond when the tactical officer's voice came through the communication system, unusually tense. "Admiral, urgent. We have multiple unknown jump signatures forming at the edge of the system." Tak frowned. "Unknown. Display them." The holographic display shifted, showing a series of energy distortions forming. Jump points typically appeared as small tears in space, just large enough for vessels to pass through. These were different, massive ruptures that dwarfed anything in Tak's experience. "Sir," the tactical officer continued, voice rising, "these signatures they're larger than anything in our database." Before Tak could respond, the first vessel emerged. Even from a distance, the ship's scale was immediately apparent. It was enormous, at least 3 times the size of Tak's flagship. Its hull was smooth and dark, absorbing light rather than reflecting it, broken only by what appeared to be weapon emplacements along its length. "Magnify," Tak ordered, his throat suddenly dry. The image zoomed in, revealing details of the massive vessel. There were no identifying marks except for one, a simple emblem on its bow, Earth's planetary insignia. "Impossible," whispered Commander Sung. The humans don't have ships like this. More vessels emerged from the jump points. 5, 10, 20 of the enormous dreadnoughts, along with smaller escorts that were still larger than anything in the Vraxian fleet. They moved with surprising grace for their size, arranging themselves in a formation that effectively cut off the Vraxian fleet's escape routes. "Sir, they're everywhere," the tactical officer reported. "I count 23 capital ships and over 40 support vessels." Admiral Tak stared at the display in disbelief. The human fleet he had studied for years consisted of outdated patrol ships, not these monsters. This was impossible. This changed everything. "Weapons status," he snapped. "All weapons online, Admiral, but our targeting systems are having difficulty locking onto their ships. Their hulls seem to absorb our scanning beams." A communication request flashed on the main screen. Tak hesitated, then nodded. "Put it through." The screen filled with the image of a human male in a dark uniform with gold trim. He appeared calm, almost relaxed. "This is Captain Hyun of the Earth Defense Force," the human said in perfect Vraxian, without even using a translator. "Your forces have attacked a sovereign world under Earth's protection. You will withdraw immediately or be destroyed." Tak felt rage replace his shock. No one gave orders to the Vraxian fleet, certainly not humans who had hidden their true nature for decades. "This is Admiral Tak of the Vraxian Empire. Your deception will not save you or the Centauri. Our forces are already in control of the planet. Leave now, and we may permit your safe return to Earth." Captain Hyun's expression didn't change. "You have 3 minutes to begin withdrawal. This is not a negotiation." The communication ended abruptly. "Target their flagship," Tak ordered. "All weapons. Fire when ready." The Vraxian vessels adjusted position, their primary cannons charging with bright energy. The fleet's combined firepower had destroyed planetary defense systems with ease. Even these unexpected human ships couldn't withstand such an assault. "Firing," reported the weapons officer. Streams of energy burst from the Vraxian ships, converging on the human flagship. The attack was perfect, coordinated for maximum impact. The energy beams struck the Earth vessel's shields and simply disappeared. There was no flare of impact, no sign of stress. It was as if the attack had never happened. "No effect," the tactical officer reported, voice shaking. Their shields absorbed everything. Before Tak could issue new orders, the human ships moved. Their motion was fluid and precise, far faster than their size should have allowed. The flagship turned slightly, revealing weapon ports along its hull that began to glow with blue energy. "Evasive maneuvers," Tak shouted, but it was too late. The human vessels fired simultaneously. Not the expected energy beams, but something different, concentrated pulses that seemed to bend space slightly as they traveled. When they struck the first Vraxian ship, the vessel didn't explode. Instead, it simply came apart, systems failing as its hull split into neat sections. 3 more Vraxian ships suffered the same fate in the next 10 seconds. "What are they firing?" Tak demanded. "Unknown technology," the science officer replied. "It appears to be some form of localized gravity weapon. It's tearing our ships apart at the molecular level." On the tactical display, the Vraxian fleet was in chaos. 4 ships destroyed, 3 more disabled, all within moments of the first human response. "Admiral," Commander Sung said quietly, "we should consider their terms." Tak stared at the display, watching another of his ships break apart under the human attack. Everything he knew about Earth had been wrong. The consequences of that mistake were now unfolding before him. "Signal the fleet," he said finally. "Begin withdrawal. All ships to jump to emergency coordinates." As the order went out, Captain Hyun's voice came through the comm system once more. "Admiral Tak, your withdrawal has been noted. Be aware that Earth forces will be establishing a permanent presence in this system. Any return of Vraxian military vessels will be considered an act of war." Tak didn't respond. He simply watched as his remaining ships prepared emergency jumps, leaving behind the wreckage of what had been the pride of the Vraxian fleet. The grand chamber of the Galactic Concordat had never been so full. Representatives from all 200 member species crowded into the massive circular room, their voices creating a constant hum of tension and excitement. At the center of the chamber, the 12-member High Council sat in elevated seats, facing the Earth delegation. Commander June stood calmly at the speaker's podium, her dark uniform bearing only a small Earth insignia. Behind her sat 3 other human representatives, all wearing the same simple uniforms. They appeared strikingly ordinary compared to the elaborate dress of other species, yet every eye in the chamber remained fixed on them. "The floor recognizes the Taurian ambassador," announced the council chairperson. Ambassador Call of the Taurian Confederation rose to his impressive height of nearly 3 meters. His bovine features were flushed with anger, the ceremonial jewelry hanging from his horns jingling as he pointed at the Earth delegation. "You deceived us all," he roared, his translator barely keeping up with his rapid speech. "For 75 years, you presented yourselves as a minor power with limited technology. You shared outdated designs while building planet killers in secret." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. Images of Earth's dreadnoughts had spread throughout the galaxy, causing panic on a dozen worlds. The vessels were unlike anything seen before, not just in size, but in their technological capabilities. Commander June waited for the noise to subside before responding. "When Earth joined the Concordat, we were vulnerable," she said, her voice calm but carrying to every corner of the room. "Our first ventures into space had shown us the dangers of appearing weak in a galaxy of predators. History taught us to prepare. The strong respect strength, so we became strong in secret." Secret. The Vraxian representative stood without waiting to be recognized. "You built weapons that violate 6 different Concordat treaties. Your ships use technology you never shared with the scientific exchange programs." "We shared everything we promised to share," Commander June replied. "The Concordat Charter requires exchange of basic technologies for mutual benefit. It does not require members to reveal military capabilities or strategic advantages." The Centauri ambassador rose next. Unlike the others, his tone was measured. "Earth forces saved my world from conquest. Their ships arrived when no other help came. Whatever methods they used to develop their fleet, the result protected innocent lives." The debate continued for hours, with species dividing clearly into factions. Worlds that had suffered Vraxian aggression largely supported Earth's actions, while traditional powers saw the sudden emergence of human military might as a threat to stability. "We call for sanctions," the Vraxian representative finally demanded. "Earth has violated the spirit of cooperation that defines the Concordat. We call upon all civilized worlds to stand against this human deception." Commander June's expression remained unchanged. "The Vraxian Empire has conquered 12 systems in the past decade. You have displaced populations, stripped resources, and ignored Concordat protests. Now you face a power capable of stopping you. And suddenly you remember the importance of cooperation." The chamber erupted in shouted arguments and counter-accusations. Far from the political chaos, Captain Hyun stood on the bridge of the Thunderchild as it led a battle group of 5 dreadnoughts through the outer reaches of the Kellis system, officially Vraxian territory, though it had only been annexed 3 years earlier. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission from the surface," reported his communications officer. "Put it through," Hyun ordered. A collision appeared on screen, her delicate features showing a mixture of fear and hope. "Earth vessels, this is Governor Neri of Kellis Prime. Are the rumors true? Have you defeated Vraxian forces at Centauri?" Captain Hyun nodded. "We have. The Vraxian fleet has withdrawn. Centauri Prime is now under Earth protection." The governor's large eyes widened further. "We were a free world before the Vraxians came. They installed puppet leaders and strip our resources. Many of our people have been taken as laborers to other Vraxian worlds. What would you ask of us, Governor?" She hesitated only briefly. The Vraxian garrison here is small, just 3 warships and a ground force of about 2,000. If they were removed. Captain Hyun studied the tactical display. The Vraxian ships in orbit were already moving to intercept his fleet, though they must realize how outmatched they were. "We will not impose our will on your world," Hyun said carefully. "But we will remove any force that attempts to prevent collisions from determining their own future." Relief washed over the governor's face. "That is all we ask." The transmission ended, and Hyun turned to his tactical officer. "Target the Vraxian vessels. Disable rather than destroy if possible, and prepare a ground team. We'll need to secure their base without civilian casualties." "Yes, Captain." "The Vraxian ships are charging weapons." Hyun nodded. "They never learn." The engagement lasted less than 5 minutes. The Vraxian ships fired everything they had, their weapons harmlessly absorbed by Earth shields. The Thunderchild responded with precisely calibrated shots that disabled their engines and weapons without destroying the vessels. "Vraxian ships are neutralized," reported the tactical officer. "They're requesting terms. Accept their surrender and prepare boarding teams," Hyun ordered, "and send a message to Earth Command. Tell them Kellis Prime has requested assistance in removing an occupying force. We are complying with their request." As the message was sent, Hyun knew it would further complicate the political situation. Each world Earth liberated from Vraxian control would strengthen their position in the Concordat, but also increase tensions with the old powers who now feared human expansion. "The Vraxian Empire has requested allies against the human threat," his intelligence officer noted, reviewing incoming reports. "So far, only 2 minor species have offered support." Captain Hyun wasn't surprised. "Bullies rarely have true friends," he said. "Just those who fear them." The Thunderchild moved into orbit around Kellis Prime, its massive shadow falling across the planet like a promise of protection. Vraxis Prime glowed orange-red in the darkness of space, its 3 moons orbiting in perfect alignment. A rare celestial event the Vraxians considered a good omen. Admiral Tak needed every omen he could get. On the command deck of his new flagship, hastily promoted after the destruction of his previous vessel, Tak reviewed the defensive formation one final time. 147 ships, every combat-capable vessel in the Vraxian Empire, arranged in concentric rings around their homeworld. The inner ring consisted of planetary defense platforms, their weapon systems upgraded with experimental technology. The middle ring held the surviving capital ships, including Tak's flagship. The outer ring contained smaller vessels, arranged to detect and delay the human fleet when it arrived. "They will come," Tak told his assembled commanders. "Make no mistake. The humans will not stop until they reach our homeworld." Over the past 2 weeks, Earth's dreadnoughts had systematically liberated every world conquered by the Vraxian Empire. Planet by planet, system by system, the humans had dismantled an empire built over decades. They never destroyed surrendering forces, never bombarded civilian targets, but their efficiency was terrifying. "Our scientists have studied the recordings of their weapons," Tak continued. "We believe their gravity-based systems can be countered with our new shield modifications." He didn't mention that these modifications were untested, or that they reduced shield strength against conventional attacks. Some gambles were necessary in desperate times. "We will not surrender to primitives," he declared, looking at each commander in turn. "We are Vraxian. We conquered the stars when humans were still learning to leave their atmosphere. We will prevail." The speech brought determined nods, though Tak saw fear in many eyes. They had all seen the reports. Vraxian fleets that fought were broken, those that surrendered were spared. The choice seemed obvious to many, but surrender was not the Vraxian way. A young officer burst onto the command deck. "Admiral, jump signatures detected at the edge of the system." Tak straightened his uniform. "Show me." The main display activated, showing massive jump points forming. Not at the system's edge as expected, but much closer, between the outer and middle defensive rings. Somehow, The humans had calculated jumps with impossible precision, bypassing the first line of defense entirely. The Earth dreadnoughts emerged in perfect formation, 30 massive vessels appearing simultaneously, their dark hulls absorbing the light from Vraxis Prime. They moved with calculated grace, ignoring the smaller ships that scrambled to engage them. All vessels, open fire, TAC ordered. The Vraxian fleet responded, unleashing everything they had. Energy weapons, missile barrages, and exotic particle beams converged on the human ships. For a moment, TAC allowed himself hope as the new shield modifications appeared to work. Some human vessels showed energy cascades across their defensive fields. Then the humans returned fire. Their attacks were surgical, targeting weapons and engines rather than destroying ships outright. Vraxian vessels fell silent one after another, disabled but not destroyed. The modified shields lasted only moments against the focused gravity weapons. "We're losing ships too quickly," Commander Sung reported, his voice strained. 80 vessels disabled already. The rest cannot maintain formation. On the display, Tak watched as the human fleet split into smaller groups, each methodically neutralizing sections of the Vraxian defense. Their coordination was perfect, their technology overwhelming. "Admiral," the communications officer called out, "we're receiving a transmission from the human flagship." Tak hesitated, then nodded. "Put it through." Captain Hen's face appeared on the main screen. The human looked calm, almost compassionate. "Admiral Tak," he said, "your courage is admirable, but further resistance is pointless. We could destroy your fleet completely, but that is not our way. These are our terms: immediate cessation of all hostilities, withdrawal from occupied worlds, and reparations to those you've harmed." Tak's first instinct was to refuse, to fight until the last ship was lost. But around him, he saw the reality of their situation. The defensive grid was collapsing. The homeworld was exposed. "And if we refuse?" he asked. Captain Hen's expression remained unchanged. "Then we will disable every vessel in your fleet and establish a blockade around Vraxis Prime until a new government willing to negotiate takes power. We have no desire to occupy your world or harm your people." The command deck fell silent. Everyone present understood the choice: accept reasonable terms now, or face complete military defeat followed by harsher conditions. "I will need to consult with the High Command," Tak said finally. "You have 1 hour," Captain Hyun replied. "We will cease fire during that time, unless your vessels attack." The screen went dark. 3 hours later, Captain Hyun stood in the Vraxian Imperial Palace, watching as the High Command representatives signed the peace treaty. The terms were firm but fair. The Vraxian Empire would return to its original borders, pay reparations to conquered worlds, and accept limitations on military expansion for 50 years. "You could have destroyed us," the Vraxian Supreme Leader said quietly as the signing concluded. "Why didn't you?" "Because destruction is easy," Hyun replied. "Peace is harder, but more lasting." Later, aboard the Thunderchild, Captain Hyun gathered his senior officers in the observation lounge. Through the massive viewport, they could see Vraxis Prime below, its cities glittering in the darkness as night fell across the continent. "Today marks a turning point," Hyun told them. "Not just for Earth, but for the galaxy." His first officer nodded. The Concordat's power structure has already changed. 3 systems have requested formal alliance with Earth. Others will follow. "We kept our strength hidden because we feared being seen as a threat," Hyun said, looking at each officer in turn. "Now we must prove we can be protectors instead. The galaxy doesn't need another conqueror. It needs a peacekeeper." "And if others challenge us?" asked his tactical officer. The Vraxians weren't the only expansionist power. Hyun smiled slightly. "Then we'll face them with the same principles: restraint where possible, overwhelming force where necessary. Earth spent generations preparing for this moment. We won't waste it." As the Thunderchild prepared to jump back to Earth, carrying news of the treaty, Hyun took one last look at the stars. The galactic order had shifted forever. Humanity had emerged from the shadows, revealing not just their military might, but their vision for the future, a galaxy where strength protected the weak rather than exploited them. Whatever came next, Earth was ready.